don't wanna get up, just not feeling it today. It's too cozy in this bed. Who needs a job anyway? I don't wanna go out. Being human's too hard. Sometimes I think my brain takes this responsibility a little too far. Ooh, 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 gotta tell you, ooh, 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 it's killing my groove. Ooh, 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 I gotta tell you, ooh, 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 it's killing my groove. I just wanna stay in my house all day, wearing my undies and my alpaca socks. I'm overdue for some fun, dance party of one. I got that self-care game on lock. Yeah, I just wanna stay in my house all day, doing whatever it is that I please. I spend the hours in bliss, just me, myself, and this, getting busy, loving up on me. Gonna turn off my phone. Too many people messing with my head. They can't find me at home, cause there's no landlines. And if they come knocking, baby, I'll play dead. Ooh, 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 I gotta tell you, ooh, 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 it's killing my groove. I just wanna stay in my house all day, wearing my undies and my alpaca socks. I'm overdue for some fun, dance party of one. I got that self-care game on lock. Yeah, I just wanna stay in my house all day, doing whatever it is that I please. I spend the hours in bliss, just be myself and this, getting busy, loving up on me. Ooh, I gotta tell you, ooh, it's killing my groove. Ooh, I gotta tell you, I just wanna stay in my house all day, wearing my undies and my alpaca socks.
Oh, they're so warm.
I'm overdue for some fun, dance party of one. I got that self-care game on lock. Oh, I just wanna stay in my house all day, doing whatever it is that I please. I spend the hours in bliss, just me, myself, and this, getting busy, loving up on me. Getting busy, loving up on me. Getting busy, love.
Good morning, Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to another fabulous Sunday morning. I am so glad that you are here joining us this morning, whether you are joining us here in person or whether you are joining us online. We are so grateful for your presence. My name is Reverend Kris Alexander. I'm the senior minister here at Celebration Center. We are physically located in Falls Church, Virginia. However, that matters very little because we have a truly global community with members joining us from all over the place. And if you are one of those people, we are extra glad that you are here and have found us this morning. If this is your first time here, an extra special welcome to you. And if you are here in the room, we would love for you to fill out a guest card over on the table. If you are online, we would love for you to fill out a guest card as well. You can do that by going to bit.ly/CCSL guest. Or if you are a tech savvy individual here in the room or online, you are welcome to scan this QR code that has popped up next to me that will also take you to that guest form for you to fill out. This morning, we have a really fun service plan. Speaking of being a global community, we have people joining us for the service today all over the place. So I'm going to be giving the message this morning. We're going to be talking about pleasure as it relates to spirituality and self-care. And then we have our practitioner, Judy Blaise, joining us from Iowa. Let's give her a round of applause. And we have the famous, amazing, spectacular, stellar Amy Steinberg in the house, joining us from her studio in Asheville, North Carolina, to provide us with amazing music. I know y'all have heard Amy Steinberg's music because she is our opening song on a fairly regular basis on that opening slideshow. So let's give Amy a round of applause and gratitude for being here today. And if you have a prayer request that you would like for us to pray for you throughout the week, there are a couple of different ways that you can give that to us. First, if you are here in the room, we have green prayer request cards over on the table that you are welcome to fill out and drop in the basket. If you are joining us online, please feel free to scan this QR code, or you can simply go to celebrationcenter.org and click on the Request Affirmative Prayer button. No matter what format you use to get us your prayer requests, that is held in confidentiality with our practitioners and ministers. And we also do a ministry of prayer at 1:30 on Mondays where we make sure that you are held in love and prayer. If you are joining us on online today, I invite you to click that share button and share us out onto all of your social media accounts. Let's see, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Be Real, what else? Snapchat, wherever you have your social media, share us out so that way you can come to the center this morning with your friends and family without ever having to leave your house. How cool is that? And next month on July 9th, I do believe they're going to pull up the ice cream social slide any moment. July 9th, following the Sunday service, we are going to be having an ice cream social. So Celebration Center will be providing ice cream, both dairy and non-dairy option for folks who choose not to eat dairy or can't eat dairy. And we invite you to bring your favorite ice cream topping to share. We'll set up a sundae bar and we'll do an ice cream social after the service here at Celebration Center. That is going to be a really fun way for us to be together. Now then, for those of you who have been paying attention, where in either the e-news, the announcements, or the opening slideshow was our illustrious Flat Ernest? has found Flat Ernest right there in the middle of the ice cream social. He is a snack. So, Dean, feel free after the service to check out the bookstore and choose a book for yourself free of cost. Well done finding Ernest Holmes. And this morning we have several things that we are celebrating. June's a big month for celebrations. We are continuing our Pride celebration, which goes on all month long. As you can see this morning, I have my The Future is Inclusive t-shirt, and that is because not only is it Pride, but tomorrow is Juneteenth. So Juneteenth, actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about that a little more in my talk in just a little while. So happy Juneteenth, happy Freedom Day to everyone out there. We're so glad that you're joining us on this Sunday before Juneteenth. And then also, today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. And I have, as if you've been around for any length of time, you know that we like to do blessings on Father's Day and Mother's Day because we understand that for some people, Father's Day is an amazing holiday where we celebrate being a father or having a father or whatever that may be. And for other folks, Father's Day may be challenging, maybe because we've lost our father, we don't know our father, we're estranged, something like that. And so I have a series of blessings that I would like to share today on Father's Day. And I invite you to just give me just a moment. Because of course, now it's being difficult. So as I am finding this document, I invite you to just take a few deep breaths and listen to these Father's Day blessings. And if it pertains to you, then know that this blessing is for you. And if it doesn't, then I invite you to just bless those folks for whom this is a reality along with us. So today we have a Father's Day blessing for those who do not know who their father is. May you have peace in the not knowing. May your longing for a father be satisfied in the divine masculine. May spiritual fathers come alongside you to fill that earthly father's role. A blessing for those with absent, abusive, or strained father relationships. May you find healing for the hurts and restoration for the needs fathers are supposed to fulfill. May you find courage to be honest, yet honoring of your father. A blessing for those who have lost their fathers. May you be comforted in your mourning and grief. May you remember the good, heal from the bad, and find spiritual fathers that fill in the gaps. A blessing for those with good father relationships. May the years be long as you treasure every moment with your dad. May your children's children reap the benefits of your relationship with your father. A blessing for men who long to be fathers. May you find peace in knowing that divine timing is unfolding through this challenge. May you be surrounded by those who can offer genuine support and not just cliche encouragements. May your father's heart be recognized regardless of if you have children or not. A blessing for fathers of children they may never know. May your father's heart still be felt by your children. May you have the opportunity to make right any mistakes you made in the past. A blessing for fathers who have had their children taken from them. May you be filled with forgiveness for yourself and whoever was involved in taking your children. May you still be honored as the father you are. A blessing for men who have stepped up to father another's children. May your children honor and receive you well. May the modifiers of adoptive, foster, step, or otherwise seem unnecessary in the light of your fathering presence. A blessing for women who have pulled double duty being both father and mother. May you have a double portion of grace to carry such weight alone. May you have loving people in your life step up to support you as you support and raise your children. A blessing for fathers who have lost children. May you find comfort in your mourning. May you forgive yourself for blame that was never yours to carry. May your children live on in the memories you cherish and the loved ones they left behind. A blessing for fathers of estranged children. May the wounds that brought distance be healed. May you forgive and be forgiven. May the lost years be restored. A blessing for men who choose not to be fathers. May you feel respected in your choice to abstain and not treated as less than. May you be honored as a man and the nurturing masculine energy you bring to those in your life. A blessing for fathers who are afraid they aren't enough. May you be honored for all that you are and filled where you feel you are lacking. May you rest in knowing you will always be enough. A blessing for men who are fathers. May your children's children receive the inheritance of your love. May men be inspired and heartened by your example. May nations change because of your faithfulness. May you long enjoy the honor and reward due to such a high calling. And finally, I invite all of us to come together, and you may raise your hands if you so choose, and say this blessing of our fathers for biological, adoptive, foster, step, spiritual, and other. We bless you today and hold you in high esteem. We honor the love, joy, sadness, heartache, times of laughter, and times of tears that being a father has brought to your life. We recognize the powerful way that you have changed lives and made the world a better place through nurturing and loving children. We are so grateful for your presence in our community and for the deep love that you share with us. Happy Father's Day. And I would like to invite Amy Steinberg to open us with a song.
Good morning, celebration. What a treat and pleasure to be with you. This is an easy sing-along for you. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. Did you get it? I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. Let's do it one more time. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening.
So I am opening. I am Judy Blaise, your practitioner for today. And let's say our vision together. We are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. So today's readings reference the male principle as the light, the divine masculine in honor of Father's Day, and the solstice on Wednesday, when the light is most intense and shines longer than any other day of the year. So from Anahata Ananda, in the divine masculine, the divine conveys a connection to spiritual essence, universal wisdom, unconditional love, and being of the light. The divine masculine is our guardian protector that does no harm. He is devoted, loyal, and serves as the provider. His gentle strength brings harmony and peace to where there was conflict and separation. He leads by inspiring others to shine and leverages collaboration to bring forth the best sustainable solutions and outcomes that are in alignment for all. So let's move into the sacred breath that we share together, that 3-part breath. So breathing in, holding, and breathing out. Breathing in, holding, and breathing out. And breathing in, hold, and breathe out. So moving now into that center of our being where that breath flows through, where the heartbeat fills us with that infinite presence. Let's remember that that divine masculine is part of all things. And that we, as the beautiful harmonious balance of the masculine and feminine, are whole, complete, perfect. So I know that each of us is blessed by all the energy from the divine. And so we simply open to receive the blessings of joy, the blessings of infinite abundance, the blessings of deep, the blessings of feeling that sense of oneness with all that lives, all that has its being in this incredibly beautiful cosmic whole. So we align now with that cosmic presence of oneness, knowing that every part of our lives is simply an outpicturing of the divine idea of who and what we are, an outpicturing of that path that leads only back to the one. So we take ourselves on this beautiful journey of oneness, of perfection and wholeness, so that our light shines. So our light shines out into the world and brings peace and healing, brings that deep knowing that all of us are truly divine, whole and complete. So in love and gratitude, I simply accept that each of us here is now receiving the blessings of that divinity, that we are open to perfect wholeness and healing of anything that needs attention, that we are recipients of the divine presence that, and to quote, it is the Father's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. So we accept this beautiful legacy of life itself right here, right now. Honoring not just the masculine principle, but that light that continues to shine on us and through us every day, in every way. So, perfect healing, perfect abundance, amazing relationships filled with love, compassion, and understanding. For we are blessed right here, right now, with every breath we take. So in conclusion, I would like to give you the words of Molly Rimmer. Let us spread our arms out under this great wide sky, and let the magic of being alive fill us with fire. Let us lift our arms to the sun and be restored and renewed by the heart of passion, the heart of longing, the warmth of pleasure. As the streaming light of purposeful joy replenishes our hearts, may we allow the wild magic of this time and space to restore our knowing that today is fertile with possibility to do good work and rejoice. And so it is.
And so it is. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. You see, 'cause we are so rich. Grat-tat attitude spilling up my veins, digging on the decadence, goodness reigns. Queen bee being on the throne of ease, rich with infinite potentialities. We think money has value, listen, it's paper, metal, electronic transmission. We get what we give, we are unique, we breathe. Cannot just give, cannot just receive, there's a law of circulation, money secondary. You have an essence only you can carry. As I advance on my journey, I see there is a power for good and it can use me. Sing it with me, it goes like this. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. I can almost hear you. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. You see, 'cause we are so rich. I'm feeling pleasure, I'm ready to be in the pleasure of the Spirit this morning with you, yeah. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So beautifully rich.
You had people whooping in here, Amy. And so just to let y'all know, that is Amy Steinberg, again, if you have never seen her before. And if you go to amysteinberg.net, you can not only get her music, which is, of course, fabulous, but all of that art that you see in the background is her art. And so you can go check out her paintings. She is an amazing artist in every sense of the word. So thank you so much, Amy. So before we get talking about pleasure, first I want to acknowledge and talk a little bit about Juneteenth. So does anybody, you can put it in the chat or here you can just raise your hand. Do you know what Juneteenth is? I'm seeing some Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing some like this, and I'm seeing some yeses and some nods and hearing some different things. So yes. So I want to talk about Juneteenth because it's something that has been celebrated amongst African Americans for 150 years, and yet I think it's just coming into the spotlight for white Americans in the last, I don't know, few years, decade or so. And so if you've never heard of Juneteenth, or if you're like, yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't actually know what that is, I wanted to give you all a little bit of history. So, as you may or may not know, I'm terrible at history, so I have to look this up every year. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. Now, you might be saying, that's not June 19th. You're right. Good noticing. So here's the thing about the Emancipation Proclamation. What it did was it freed enslaved people in Confederate states. But back in 1863, they did not have the internet and TikTok and phones and all of those things. And so the message was only spread as fast as the war continued to be won. So as they moved south, the message spread, and often white slave owners would discover that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed and then keep it a secret from the people that they were enslaving because they didn't want to give up the free help or the free workers, right? So pretty not great as all things are considered. Now, the war ended on April 9th, 1865. So by then, and it ended in Texas. So by then, they had traveled through most of the Confederate states, spreading the message of freedom to enslaved people, things like that, until April 9th. Now, on April 9th, 1865, you might notice that also is not June 19th when we celebrate Freedom Day. That is because it took an additional 2 months for troops to get all the way down to Galveston to the final plantations and people that were being held in slavery and free them. So June 19th, 1865 is celebrated as Juneteenth or Freedom Day or Emancipation Day because that is the day that the message of freedom finally reached those enslaved people who were on the outskirts. Now, I have looked up, because I'm pretty sure that every year I tell y'all about this. So I have looked up these dates and times and information for several years. So I knew these things. I think probably a lot of y'all did. Here's what I didn't know. The Emancipation Proclamation only freed enslaved people in Confederate states. So there were still people who were being enslaved in northern states after June 19th, 1865, let alone January 1st, 1863. Did I say 19 the first time? 1863, 1865. And so actually, slavery was not completely abolished in the United States as a matter of national policy until the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6th, 1865. So I like to tell us this history because I don't know about y'all, but in school I was taught that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, and he did so by signing the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, and then everything was good, and we all said, hooray, everybody lived happily ever after. And yet, as we can see, change comes slowly, even change that now, by today's standards, we look back and go, how in the heck did that happen? How did that go on for so long? And yet, not only did it go on for so long, but then people fought against the change. And so as we look, and now, for the most part, and I'm not here to argue your beliefs on things, but for now, I think we can all agree in this room that slavery is bad. That is a very typical ideal to have in 2023 in the United States of America. I don't know many people that wish we would go back to the times of having enslaved people, right? Now we can't imagine it taking 2.5 years to make that what should be a fundamental human right natural and normal. And yet today, here we are, right? And so I say all of this because as we're looking at the things that are happening in the United States and in the world today, once again, not here to argue beliefs, but when you look out into the world and you see the things that break your heart, I want you to remember that change comes slowly, and there will come a day when those things that break our hearts are seen as history. They are in the history books, and people will go, wow, it took them a really long time to get there, but it will happen. And so Juneteenth is not only a celebration of the actual emancipation of African Americans in the United States, but it is also a celebration of freedom and the idea that all people deserve to be free, especially our African American brothers and sisters and siblings. And so Juneteenth, I invite you to not only remember those folks who fought so hard for the freedom of all, but also to remember the visionary status that Juneteenth gives us of where we're going, where we're headed, of our ability to change minds, to change frameworks, to change systems, to change laws, to change policy and procedure and all of that. And that is what we continue to do today to make sure that everyone has their human rights. Everyone is free. So that is what I have to say about Juneteenth. And honestly, it's interesting. It doesn't, I was joking with our tech team in the back because I said, what do Juneteenth, Father's Day, and pleasure have to do with one another? Not much, but I'm going to talk about all three this morning, right? And yet, to me, progressing freedom and human rights and the visionary status of society, that is pleasurable. I do enjoy for all of us to be moving towards a better future, whatever that may be, and understanding that we all have a different idea of what a better future can be. And yet, I bet if I asked each one of you, would you like us to move towards a better future? You would say yes, right? Am I wrong? Would anybody be like, no, I would like the future to be worse? Right. So we can all agree that we are moving towards a better future, and that in a lot of ways that experience is one of pleasure. So I'm going to back up now just a little bit. We're talking about pleasure today, and we're talking about it specifically related to self-care and spirituality. So pleasure, Sherry Carter Scott says that pleasure is the physical manifestation of joy. And when I say pleasure, I mean all different kinds of pleasure. So maybe your mind just goes straight towards pleasure of the sexual variety. And yes, that is pleasurable, but there are so many more things that cause pleasure. Our bodies were made for pleasure. Our bodies were made for pleasure. If they weren't, then we wouldn't have our senses. There would be no need for them. We would have other ways of knowing how to get around the planet and our lives and things like that didn't include specific senses that cause such bliss and pleasure in our bodies. Think about the last time you had the best bite of the best piece of fruit you have ever eaten. And how I know the first cherry that I ate of this season, it stopped me in my tracks. I love cherries. I have eaten my weight in cherries since they came into season a few weeks ago, y'all. And not only did that one stop me in my tracks, I literally paused the TV show I was watching, y'all, because I was like, oh, it's cherry season, right? But now, whenever I eat cherries, every time I open the fridge and I go, I want a snack, and there's nothing, and then I go, there is something to eat. There's cherries. And I get so happy. That is pleasure. Every time that you get a hug from somebody you love, whether that's a friend or your significant other or a family member or your dog or your cat or your hamster or your gerbil or your lizard or your snake or whatever it may be, your cat, yes, whatever it may be, that is pleasure. That is pleasure. Every time you have a conversation that just lights you up and gets you so excited for being who you are and having this conversation with whoever that person is, that's pleasure. What else? What is pleasure to you? What experiences of pleasure have you had? Put it in the chat if you're online. I would say laughing uncontrollably is pleasure to me at the funniest joke, especially if the joke is really stupid and everybody else is groaning. I love laughing at corny jokes. Yes. Oh, do I have a joke that I could tell y'all? You know what? Because I can't do it as well as her. Amy, when you come back on for the closing song, I'm going to ask you to tell, or not the closing song, the song after the talk. I'm going to ask you to tell the whale joke because it's my most favorite joke ever. So, and it's actually my most favorite joke ever when Amy specifically tells it. So Amy will tell us the whale joke. Yes.
Yesterday, I watched two squirrels cavorting in my yard for over 10 minutes. They were
So she said she watched two squirrels cavorting in her yard for over 10 minutes, tussling and separating, and that was pleasure to her. Yes. Jumping in the ocean on a hot day. Yes. What else? Yes. Driving through National Memorial Park every day and being in control as you drive. So driver lovers out there, I'm sure you can relate to that one. Yes.
I got a new recliner chair yesterday, and I was just sitting in it after I got it, for about half hour. That was a pleasure.
Yes.
I had to get rid of the old chair, so for a while I didn't have any chair.
Oh.
It was great
Just to sit. So Richard got a new recliner yesterday, but he had to, from Bob's Furniture. Bob's Furniture, if you would like to endorse this message, please do so. From Bob's Furniture, he got a new recliner, and he had to get rid of the old one a while ago. So he has been sans recliner for a while, and he said the 30 minutes that he just sat in his new recliner yesterday was pleasure.
My cat likes it too.
Oh, and Angie the cat likes it too. Yes.
We went for a picnic with friends last night.
Oh, went to a picnic with friends last night, and that is pleasure. Yes. Anything online? Okay, go ahead.
I have two things.
Yes.
Digging in the dirt for me is pleasure,
Uh-huh.
and walking without pain.
Oh, digging in the dirt is pleasure, and walking without pain. And I know that the person who said that just recently had hip replacements, 2 hip replacements. And yes, walking without pain is a pleasure.
It's been happening for months now.
Oh, that is a really good point. So she got her her hip replacements last year. So it has been happening for months, she said, and she still feels and experiences the pleasure of being able to move her body without pain. I love that. Yes. Oh, yes. Finding something she loves at the thrift store. I know several people that can relate to that, myself included. And I'm going to add at Home Goods also. I love going to Home Goods. Yes. So all of these things, I'm so glad that it's so easy for us to come up with pleasurable activities. Now, here's the next thing, and I thought this was really interesting, and I got most of this information and things that I'm about to share with y'all from Lissa Rankin, Dr. Lissa Rankin, and she is a therapist, and she does lots of really cool stuff in the world, an author, and things like that. So what she talked about is that when she got into a really amazing relationship, that all of a sudden she realized that she had an upper limit to her pleasure. And that when she hit that limit of pleasure, that all of a sudden she got really uncomfortable. And all of a sudden her brain started to worry and to wonder about all of the things that might go wrong, that might take that pleasure away from us. Now that, according to Brene Brown, is called foreboding joy. When you're in joy, but you think, I gotta just wait for the other shoe to drop, right? And yet, that comes from this upper limit that we have to pleasure. Now, she was talking about how in spirituality, we tend to be well-versed in pain. And I thought that this was really interesting. And I think that this is something that we are generally taught in our society here, is that pain is more spiritual. It's a better way of being than pleasure. That if you're in pain, you're somehow more enlightened, or you are the more that you are able to withstand suffering, the closer you must be to God. And this shows up in books of the Bible like Job. It shows up in our Puritan society where we have to renounce our pleasure. It shows up in the fact that priests and nuns and monks are often expected to be celibate. It shows up in all of these ways that somehow being in pain is more spiritual than being in pleasure. And what Lissa says is that many of us are well versed in tolerating pain, especially in spiritual circles. We may even gravitate toward painful, uncomfortable situations, milking them for all the soul growth we can tolerate and being grateful for the discomfort. Right? So have you ever, when you're going through a hard time, somebody said, oh, well, you're learning a good lesson, or this is just an opportunity, or this must be for your highest good. God has decided that you needed to suffer. Have you heard any of those things or something similar to it? We have this idea that somehow by being in pain and not allowing ourselves to experience pleasure, that we are somehow a better person. It is morally, you will take the moral high road if you are the one in pain. And then we also shame pleasure, and we shame the people that experience a lot of pleasure. We call them hedonists. We call them, well, that was the only word in my brain. I call them hedonists, apparently. We call them all of these things: shallow, lazy, maybe other pleasure seekers. What? Lotus eaters? I haven't heard that one, but yes, sure. I can totally see that, right? And then, so we have this inherent idea, and I see some people looking at me like, oh, you're crazy. Of course, pleasure is better than pain. And yet I'm talking about this sort of unconscious belief system that just kind of permeates our society, our spiritual communities, things like that. And then what happens is we get comfortable with what we're used to. we get really comfortable being in pain because that's just what happens in our lives. We just experience a lot of pain. And then when we experience pleasure and more 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 pleasure, all of a sudden we realize not only are we in pleasure, but we're also uncomfortable. And we just want to go back to our comfortable little painful selves. And it's very incongruous, and yet this is what we tend to do. Yes?
Slightly contrary point of view is that in the 70s, I moved here to California and started getting involved with different body work techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that became very popular among everyone. Well, no pleasure, no pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. Not no pleasure, no gain.
Pain, no gain.
Yes. Has anybody else heard that phrase? No pain, no gain. Yes. Nike, just do it. Push through the pain, right? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yet, and I'm glad you brought it up. He was talking about in the 70s that there was this big explosion of body work, especially in the West Coast. And that is true. Tantra, which many of you have probably heard of Tantra. I was actually a tantrika, a certified Tantra practitioner for quite some time. And Tantra is usually seen as that weird sex thing. It is. I am under no qualms about that. And yet, Tantra, and I think that goes back to the whole shaming pleasure thing, because Tantra is not that weird sex thing. Tantra is actually a rebellion against puritanical Hinduism from about 4,000 years ago. And what they said is we spend so much time denying our bodies, denying our pleasure, denying our humanness, trying to reach enlightenment. What if instead we said, hey, we were put on this earth in these bodies that were made to experience pleasure for a reason? What if we embrace our humanness? We embrace our pleasure. We embrace all of the good stuff that life has to offer. And so Tantra is actually a truly holistic practice in which it embraces all aspects of life. It embraces our physical body, our mental, emotional, spiritual bodies. It embraces all of it, and it says it's all good. Yes. And yet we find that we have this upper limit on pleasure. And so my question for you today is, how much can you tolerate? How much pleasure can you tolerate? At what point do you start to get uncomfortable and go, if I lay in this recliner too much, it might break? Or if I eat too many cherries, they're going to run out at the store because I've already been 3 times this week to buy another bag. Or if I jump in the ocean, I might get stung by a jellyfish, or I might get sandburn on my forehead, or I might get a sunburn, which might be more likely than sandburn, but I had a friend get sandburn on his forehead once. Or, if I drive around the National Memorial Park too often, then the concrete might break and then it won't be as pleasurable. How often? And yes, I'm putting extreme examples out there about how often do we dim our own pleasure because we're either ashamed or we think that this is too much or we become uncomfortable. So my question for you this week is, how much pleasure can you tolerate? And then my follow-up to that is, I want you to go out and experience as much pleasure as you possibly can this week. As much as you possibly can. All right, so you don't have to worry about it being bad or not spiritual or shameful because you heard it here first, and we're a spiritual community, and I'm a minister. Somebody else said that I should be a minister, lots of people, so I must be right. And I'm telling you that going out and experiencing as much pleasure as you possibly can is going to be the best thing for you, the most spiritual thing that you can do this week, the thing that will bring you closer to enlightenment. And so I invite us all to just experience all of the pleasure and the blessings and the goodness and the effusive yumminess that life has to offer this week. Thank y'all. And now I would like to invite Amy back up for another song.
Well, before I sing, I have to, give the whale joke. So 2 whales are sitting in a bar, and one whale turns to the other and says, "Ow." And the other whale says, "What the heck, Steve?" Thank you. That was for you, Rev Kris. This song is called Power, and at the end I'll do a little wrap-up rap based on the talk that we just heard about pleasure. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, vibrating at a frequency. There's a power inside that power. Inside that power is love, 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 and you can feel it revealed when an open, broken heart begins to be healed. It breaks like the sky when a long, dark night starts spinning on the wheel of the world. Watch it rise. Out of the ashes comes another day of bright light, shining through your eyes. So much surprise every time we fall in love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Our bodies were made for pleasure. It's true. Cherries and pets and conversations that feel good, laughter and joy, the ocean and sporting, watching 2 squirrels playing and cavorting, driving and reclining in the new recliner too, digging in the dirt, pain-free new hips, woohoo, thrift store shopping, what but bliss to shop. Pleasure is a treasure, feeling good nonstop. But sometimes we have an upper limit with this, and pain seems more spiritual than pleasure and bliss. But despite this story, this is not true, you shallow, lazy, hedonistic lotus eaters too. How much pleasure can you tolerate? Get out and experience as much as you can take. Love, 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 love. Get out and experience as much as you can take. How much pleasure can you take? How much pleasure can you take? How much pleasure can you take? There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, love, vibrating at a frequency. And there's a power inside that power, back of all that power. You know what it is. It's love.
All right, y'all. So I first heard Amy perform at a Sunday service decade ago-ish. It's been a while. I've known Amy for a while. And the first time she did that, where she did like a rap based on the message, I was like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I actually had a friend the other day who said, well, the message was really boring, but Amy was there, so I didn't listen to the message and I just waited for her recap at the end. Hopefully y'all didn't do that this morning, but she's kind of famous for those. And so when I became a minister, I was like, I will know that I have made it as a minister when Amy does a wrap up based on my talk. So as of just now this morning, I have now officially made it as a minister. Thank you. Thank you. Has nothing to do with my licensing or my ordination. It's what? Our talk. Yes, it was our talk. So apparently we have all made it as ministers this morning. Thank you, Amy. I am feeling a lot of pleasure, speaking of pleasure. So this is the time in our service for our gifts and our offerings and all of this joy and laughter. Where else are you going to get funny whale jokes and talk about weird sex stuff like Tantra? Where else are you going to get that but here? And so just know that our center is run on your love, your time, your talent, your treasures, your gifts, your offerings. That is what allows us to be alive and vibrant and to spread this message of spirituality and science of mind out into the world. And so if you would like to give this morning, you can do so by giving at the table. If you're here in the room, you can scan this QR code or simply go to celebrationcenter.org and click on the give button. All of that will take you to our Secure Breeze website where you can give to Celebration Center. And now I would like to invite Judy back for our affirmation and blessing.
Yeah. Divine love as me. Let's bring it up. Thank you. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So we give these gifts in great sense of joy because we know that as we give, there is this wave of pleasure, of love and beauty that moves through our gifts out into the world and in a multitude of ways. So as we give, we are gifted with that sense of knowing that we are part of this incredible law of circulation, the law of the universe, that we are one with all that is. And we bless these gifts and know that they are bringing pleasure all over the world, in the planet. Thank you. And so it is.
What a pleasure to be with you this morning. Thank you so much, Rev Kris. You definitely have made it. Let's sing this little Ricky Byers chant to close our time together, feeling the love, the pleasure of the love wash over us. I love this tune. It goes like this. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy. We let the joy wash over us. We let it be. We let it be. How about the peace? We let the peace. We let the peace wash over us. We let it be. We let it be. Let's try pleasure once. We let the pleasure wash over us. We let it be.
Oh, Ed says he loves your wolf, Amy. Yes, that is one of her latest paintings. I don't know if that one's still for sale, but she is an incredible artist. Go check her out. We do not have a hybrid community connection time, so you are free to go after the service and experience pleasure. So happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day, happy Pride Month, and happy Pleasure Week. And with that, I invite you to repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening in me right now. I honor my own needs and desires. I allow myself to experience pleasure every day. I practice radical self-care and community care. I am spirit in action. And so it is.